bit of a worry for all of us, because we know how silly young Hosanna is with water, and especially in this particular area, an area he is so fond of. Not a little bit of a belly slide there. Okay, we are back apparently. Just popped its head up in front of where those Egyptian geese are. Now, it's unlikely that he would go for Egyptian goose. They are quite wily to the ways of the crocodilian, obviously being spending most of their time in and around water. I want to see if that crocodile pops its head up again. Now, it wasn't that long ago I told the story about a person who says, no, there's only one crocodile in the dam and that's why I can swim in it, because I can see the one crocodile. The only way not to get bitten by a crocodile in Africa is to assume that every single patch of water, even the tiniest one, has a crocodile. But we're going to send you across to Djuma shortly to start the show, and Stef is back and he'll be pounding the ground with those large size 11s of his. Come on, crocodile, show yourself. You have 20 seconds, crocodile, to make your presence felt.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
And a very good afternoon to all of you, starting off with one of the most exciting reptile finds that I have had in a very, very long time. Just look at this beautiful chameleon as it makes its way up the tree. And we're going to be showing more of this chameleon and all sorts of other exciting creatures on your live safari adventure in a moment, because this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome on our sunset safari, starting off with a truly gorgeous and probably the biggest flap-necked chameleon I have seen in all my time whilst working on Safari Live. It is an absolute magnificent specimen, and we're going to be closely examining it in a moment, but first let's just do some quick introductions. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon VM is on camera with me, and we're coming to you live from a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. And most especially a very warm welcome to Hampton Oaks Elementary, Centerville and Laura Lee Elementary. It's lovely to have you kids on board, and I hope you are all super excited to go on safari. Now, how this works is what you're seeing is what's happening here in South Africa. So for you guys, it's first thing in the morning. Out here in South Africa, it is late in the afternoon. And for all of our new viewers, please do send through your questions. You can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And as soon as we're done with our very special school session, because it's important that we reach out to schools and kids across the world, as soon as we're done with them, then we will definitely be answering them Okay, without any further ado, our chameleon is disappearing into behind the branches. We can just see its tail. It is an absolutely massive specimen, and I'm going to try and shift around so that we can show you just how wonderful it is. But look at that bright and vibrant green. It is a spectacular reptile, and we don't get to see them that often. So this is really, really exciting. Hello, chameleon. Let me try and shift around so that I can show you. Now, this chameleon was busy crossing the road to get to, well, the other side, to get to a tree over here. BM, can you see it at all there? There we go. He's over there-ish somewhere. Hold on, let's just see. Oh, he's coming to us. I think he's going to come to us. Have I got the pole in our way? Where is he? Oh, you see? This is why chameleons are amazing. They disappear. He's at the top of this tree. Ah, I know what to do. Okay, I'm going to shift forward slightly. Go, there he goes. He's reaching. There he is. There he goes. He's actually going to come into a perfect view if we just give it 1 second. And you see him there on the top. You can see him with your eyes. It's finding him on the camera. There he is. Wait. Where is he? Oh, there we go. Marvelous. Well done, VM. Look at its eye. Facing directly back towards us, both eyes. Now, here's the amazing thing about chameleons. They can look in different directions with each eye. Look how it's facing its eye right back towards us. So they've got these amazing independent eyes that can look both ways. And it'll sneak up on insects that it happens to see and then shoot out its tongue like an arrow almost. So it's got a really, really long tongue, and it shoots it forward and it grabs the insect with the sticky end. But it needs those amazing eyes in order to be able to really get an idea of just how far away the insect is. Now, May, you want to know where in Africa we are. May, we're in a wonderful place called South Africa. So South Africa is the southernmost tip, at the southernmost tip of Africa, so right at the south. So we're in the southern hemisphere, and we're in the top northeastern corner. Now, there's a famous reserve called the Greater Kruger National Park, and that is where we are. So the Greater Kruger National Park is huge. It's 8.5 million acres of area where the animals can live completely wild. I've lost it now. Where is it? If I lean, am I going to get in your way? I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to try and get you a better view of this chameleon. In the meantime, Stef is amazing, and he's on foot with giants.
Yes, well, welcome to the bushwalk part of this particular safari this afternoon. Welcome to Laura Lee School. We definitely are on foot at the moment. We've got some elephant in the background over there. Now, elephant are the most dangerous animals to approach on foot and to be on foot with. So you might be asking yourself, why are we doing it? Why are we risking our lives like this to be close to elephant on foot? To be honest with you, it is just one of the most amazing experiences that So we're not here to try and influence the way that they behave. What we're here to do is to try and share a little bit of their lives with you unobserved. Now, Caitlin, you asked why do we search for animals? Caitlin, most of the time we just rely on the fact that we stay here. So I know that direction tomorrow morning, and basically it's just trusting your gut. But we also do a lot of follow the way that these animals are moving, basically. The unfortunate thing is that they're moving into a position where onto them. And for elephants, for wild elephants like these are not tame elephants. These elephants get a big whiff full of detergent and human smell, sun cream and insect repellent. They really don't like that. And it can put a herd of elephant like this on the alert that there's some danger here. So we're just going to see basically what they're doing, give them some time to make up their decisions. We don't want to get in their way whatsoever. And the only way we're going to do that is just by sitting still and listening and figuring out what they're going to do next. Now, Adrian, you've asked me why are elephants so dangerous. Adrian, I put it straight down to their intelligence. Elephants are very, very intelligent creatures. There's a whole bunch of different assumptions as to how intelligent they are relative to us. Some say a 6-year-old, some say an 8-year-old, some say a 15 or a 16-year-old, others even say up to a 30-year-old adult. Elephants are as intelligent as them. For me, I just think that this intelligence brings with it an imagination, and the elephant know that they, for their skins, for their meat, and they've just been hunted by people for the last thousands of years, has protected elephants here for 150 years. But that genetic memory is still with those elephants. They still remember what it has been like to be hunted by man for their skin and ivory and meat. And they have that fear in them. And so what you don't want to do is you want them to react to that fear. And so what we're going to do is give them the most bush to play in, the most bush to live in without influencing them. Now, while we get into a slightly better position to show you these elephants again, hopefully, I'm holding my thumbs crossed that we'll be able to do that again a little bit later in the show. I'm going to send you over to Jamie with that fantastic little chameleon that she's found.
How exciting is that? Stef's found elephants on foot. Now he described, be patient and wait for it to move a little bit more so that we can see it properly. Look at these amazing feet. You can just see them gripping. Now, Laura Lee, you want to know if chameleons are in South Africa because they are cold-blooded. Now, that's a very good question because, of course, reptiles are what's known as ectotherms. In other words, oh wow, look at that. You can actually see the opening underneath the tail. That's where they lay eggs and that's where they reproduce. That's amazing. Sorry, Laura Lee, and all the kids at Laura Lee. Because reptiles are cold-blooded or ectotherms, which means that they have to rely on heat outside in order to warm up and control their own body temperature. So they're not like mammals. There we go. There you can see its head. They're not like mammals. They need heat and then they can control their body temperature that way. So the answer is not necessarily, because of course you get reptiles in the North Americas as well, even in places where it gets very cold. It just means that they have to hibernate in winter. But out here, our reptiles don't hibernate, they estivate, because of course our winters don't get very cold at all. Look how carefully this chameleon's moving. So our winters don't get too cold, but they are very dry, which means that they have to sleep during winter. Now, Rachel, you want to know what chameleons eat. They eat insects. Now, look at how amazing this is. Remember how dark green it was when we first saw it? Now, look how light green it is with yellow spots. And that's so that it can creep up on those insects clearly. You can see it moves very slowly. Look at the way that its toes grip onto the branches. Now, chameleons they go black and blotchy, and they start to hiss at you. They puff themselves. I want to get out of the car and go up to it because I think it will actually, this is quite an alert chameleon. It's a very large one, and I think if I get out, it's going to feel threatened. So, in terms of physical statues, he's about from my wrist to my elbow. I'm pretending to be a leaf. I'm not an animal, I'm a leaf. I'm a leaf, rocking motion. He's pretending to be a leaf blowing in the wind. Now, Zeke, you want to know how strong a chameleon is. Well, actually, honestly, Zeke, I was just thinking how much muscle control it must have to move so slowly. They're stronger than you expect them to be, but not very strong. So it's still quite small. It's probably the size of my two hands put together. So it's all animals out here are much stronger than we expect them to be, because human beings are actually quite weak compared to the animals out here. So it's got some strong muscles, but really it's not an animal that relies on fighting. It's an animal that relies on being secretive and stealthy. I've even had a chameleon, this is a weird story, I had a worm in my mouth, but deliberately to feed a chameleon. I had a worm in my mouth and a chameleon took it out of my mouth, and their tongues are very, very strong. They're so powerful. They shoot out almost faster than you can blink, and that's how they catch their insects. Look at it. It's so cool. Those feet are just amazing. 3 toes in the front, 2 at the back. Now, Austin, you want to know how long do chameleons live for? So you get different species of chameleons. Ours will live for a good few years, possibly even up to, I'm just trying to think what the maximum life expectancy is. I'll think of it in a moment. Let me reposition first, and then I'll tell you exactly how long they live. They can live for a lot longer than you expect. Let me just do this because we've got such a good view. I don't want to waste this opportunity because he's going to disappear soon. I'm having to move the car creakily. Sorry. Oh, wait, sorry, Viam, before we go back to him. I'm just thinking, just quickly while we're here, before he disappears. You wanted to know how big he is. He's about this big. So what's that? Just about a foot in length, and he's probably about this thick. So it's a very, very big chameleon. It's one of the biggest I've seen out here. Okay, there we go. Now, our chameleon's moving slowly, but Stef's elephants are not moving slowly. Let's go to him before they disappear.
We've managed to catch up with these elephants again. The wind is swirling around us, and every now and again I think just one member of the herd catches our scent and changes direction. They're not all aware of us at the moment, I don't think, mainly because they're still standing there. If the elephant were aware of us, the lead cow, the biggest female, she'd have her head up at the time. Sometimes they come running at you, and then you better have a termite mound around or a tall, thick tree to climb. Like I said, elephants are probably the most dangerous animals to be close to on foot in the bush. They're big, they are aggressive, they worry about their babies. But enough of how dangerous this is. What it is at the moment is super special to be with these elephants. They're now going off into the distance. We're not going to follow them into this thick bush over here. The wind is just too... We're going to look for something else interesting to show you. So you're off to Brent, who's also got a warthog.
And there she is. You can see the bottom tusk, which you can more to show that she's dangerous. Now, they can even chase lions and leopards sometimes, the warthogs. And there's another mom and her baby at the back. Now, there were 4 babies to start with. There's only one left. and the rest have been eaten. Now, welcome to our wonderful schools. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my good friend and fantastic cameraman Jean-Dre with me, and we're looking for my favorite animal in the whole world, the African wild dog. So hopefully we're going to be able to find them. But while we look for all the other animals out here in the bush, you do get to bump into some wonderful creatures like the warthogs. And off they toddle. So we're going to do the same. So we saw wild dogs in this area this morning, so we're going to try find them again. Now, Joey is wondering, what animal do we see the most? Joey, I would have to say it is an antelope, which we actually haven't seen one yet this afternoon, which is very strange, called an impala. It is the most numerous antelope in Africa south of the Sahara. And it's a very cool antelope because it's been exactly the same for 1.6 million years. So they evolved, they got to the perfect form, and they haven't had to evolve any further since then. We will definitely try find you one. Okay, so while we search for all the other animals, let's go see that beautiful, beautiful chameleon with Jamie.
And our beautiful chameleon is just about to disappear. It somehow seems to have got even bigger now. It seems to have puffed itself up a little bit, pretending even more to be a leaf as it walks out in the open. Austin, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was meant to be answering your question. The answer is for this species of chameleon, because you get different types of chameleon, they can live between around about 5 years, maybe a really old chameleon about 8 years. So there you go. That's how long chameleons live. Oh, there he goes, right up into the tip top of the tree. Thank you, Mr. Chameleon. Oh, look at that. And of course, that tail coming along behind, you can also use that to grip if it needs to. You can see how the leaves are blowing now in the wind. You can imagine how strong he has to grip on in order to stay in this tree. There goes that foot gripping onto the stick. This is very cool. We don't often get to see a chameleon this big. Now remember, if you ever do find chameleons, they are very territorial, which means you have to be careful of taking them out of one tree and putting them in another. So they are very, very territorial. Now, Adrian, you want to know if chameleons are smart? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how smart they are. I think they're very, very cleverly designed in that they can change color. They know what color they should be in order for, in different situations, in order to disappear into the leaves, just like ours is done. Are they smart? I don't know. That's a very, very good question. It's hard to tell. No one's ever had to make a chameleon take a maths test, although there's different ways of being smart, isn't there? He's smart enough to know that he must be green when he's on that tree. And he's smart enough to know that he must get big when he's out in the open so that nothing will come and attack him, like a bird perhaps, or a snake. Those are two things that might eat a chameleon. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, I can't see him anymore. He's disappeared, and I don't think I can do any more repositioning to have a chance to see him. So we've had a really, really wonderful sighting with our chameleon, but he has disappeared. Now, Devon, you want to know how many colors a chameleon can turn. It depends on your species of chameleon, Devon. So certain species of chameleon can actually turn blue in a way. But as far as I know, I've never seen a flap-necked chameleon that can turn blue. But green, yellow, red, black, those are some of the colors that our chameleon can turn. No, I'm afraid not. He's completely vanished now. Let's count. White, black, green, red, yellow. 5 different colors. And then, of course, because you can mix primary colors, he can turn orange, because he can turn yellow and green. So he can combine those 2 colors to make orange. And probably pink as well a little bit. Perhaps breeding season. Good question, Devon. I'm not 100% sure if those are the only colors a chameleon can turn. But they also don't go one solid color. So they can have dots and splodges, especially when they're angry. When they're angry and they get black and then they have splodges of white. All of the colors in nature that warn you. Okay, I'm going to take you to see another fantastic reptile. But before we get there, let's go across to Stef and find out what he's up to.
What I'm up to is I'm trying to find a remedy for my cold and my flu that I have at the moment. I've got some sinusitis from a cold I picked up from my little boy today, and I'm on the search for some bush medicine, and the first thing on my list was this tree over here. This tree is a silver cluster leaf. And what you, of course, want to do with cold and flu medicine is stop your nose from running. I know it sounds disgusting, but no one likes to see runny noses, in particular not myself. What this tree has got in it, it's got a very high tannin content in the leaves. And tannin is very astringent on mucus. I know it sounds a bit weird this, and probably a bit disgusting, but we're going to try it anyway. So what astringent means is it means that it dries out your mucous membrane. So if I were to put this in my mouth, for instance, it makes my saliva go dry and powdery, and that is exactly what I wanted to do with my runny nose. I wanted to stop the runny nose. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a bunch of leaves, we're going to fold them into a circle, keeping all the sharp ends, of course, on the inside. And why I'm folding it into a circle is because I wanted to unwind, but I only wanted to unwind when I wanted to unwind. Alrighty, so that's what we're going to do with that one. And then I'm going to put it in my nostril and I'm going to let it unwind. And what I'm hoping it does is that it takes the mucus that is running out my nose and it makes it dry and it stops my runny nose. Now, once I've stopped my runny nose and I can concentrate on something else, what we're going to do is we're going to find something for my headache. So we're going to find something for my headache, and once I've sorted out my headache and I can think again and I don't have a lot of mucus running out of my nose, then we're going to look at finding something for my sore throat, and then we should be okay. So for now, I'm going to be walking around with my tissues in my nose, my astringent tissues that have tannin in it. So just to recap on what I'm busy doing over there now, is the fact that it binds up mucus. So tannin binds up mucus into something that stops it from being runny, and that's what I'm doing now. Now, Julie, you just asked me, are we likely to see a snake today? Probably not, to be honest, but you can never tell out here, to be really fair. So yes, there's every opportunity that we'll see a snake. It doesn't necessarily, we don't normally see snakes on Bushwalk, 1 or 2 a month probably, and almost all of them in the summertime. So like now, where it's summer and the snakes are active for a long period of the day because they are cold-blooded. Snakes need the environment to warm them up so that they can start moving, and they can only really move when their bodies are at exactly the right temperature. You also have a similar thing. Our bodies are at 37 degrees centigrade. I'm not quite sure what that is in Fahrenheit, probably 80 something or 90 something, to be honest, and our bodies can only operate at that temperature. Too high or too low and we've got problems. Snakes have a little bit of a broader band, but they are still restricted to a certain minimum temperature and a certain maximum temperature. And so when it's very hot, they don't move around. When it's very cold, they don't move around. But when it's just right, they do. And this is actually a good time to see snakes, is this time of the day. All right, my nose has stopped running. I can breathe out of it now. Yeah. All right, now we are going to be looking for some headache tablets, but before I do that, I'm going to be answering David's question. He wanted to know what the leaves smell like. David, I can't smell anything because my sinuses are so blocked, but I would imagine, just from using it previously, that when you've mowed your grass and there's that very green smell that comes from fresh cut grass from your lawnmower, that is what I'm smelling at the moment. So, I can make it smell a bit differently. We have got things out here that make things smell nice as well. So I can make my fresh green grass smell like licorice by using this plant. Now Maya, you've asked me how long does it take to get better using these leaves. Maya, to stop my nose from running happens almost immediately. This tannin that is in these leaves is very, very good at binding mucus and holding it nice and tight and to stop running. So it's actually very good. It works almost immediately. I can breathe now without too much trouble. And this that I'm cutting up now in my hands and crushing up now in my hands is a type of flavorant. It's a type of basil. So I can make my fresh grass. Oh, smell like a basil that your mom uses to cook with. And I can actually smell that, which is amazing. Oh yeah. Some medicines, of course, in the bush are not quite as strong as what doctors' medicines are. Of course, doctors' medicines are, of course, going to work much faster than what bush remedies can. But the bush remedy is not, while not that pretty, is quite effective. Now, on to our next mission, and that is to find me some headache tablet right here, in actual fact. So I have some headache tablets. This is a sickle bush. This is a sickle bush, one of the bushes that give us lots of punches when we're driving off-road. And the sickle bush has got a lot of pain-killing properties, predominantly in the leaves and in the bark of the roots. But you can literally pick a bit of sickle bush just like this, and I can chew it. And it's not only going to help for my headache, it's also going to help for my sore throat. Now, Leo, you've just said you like this leaf trick. I can't imagine it's because it's making me look good, but yes, it works very well. Now, this headache tablet is not as good as, say, taking a, I don't know, normal over-the-counter paracetamol, but if I eat enough of it, it will eventually help. Very good for my sore throat as well, so it's going to help for my sore throat. And to clear up my headache. Yeah. And then what else we can use, and something I didn't even think about until now, is we can look for some elephant dung. If I can get a fire going, and it's going to be difficult because everything out here is pretty wet, but if I can get a fire going and I can breathe in the smoke from a piece of elephant dung, that is also incredibly good for headaches. And the reason for that is elephant out here eat almost all the trees that you can see, and so their dung is like a concentrated first aid box. And sometimes when you light the dung, the goodness in the leaves and the roots and the bark that they've been eating comes up in their smoke, and you can breathe in their smoke, and it has a wonderfully calming effect on your head. Can sometimes quite good clear up a headache. So what I think I'm going to do is get a fire going with some elephant dung and show you exactly how we clear up my headache with that. In the meantime, why don't we send you over to Brent, and I'll catch up with you when I've got that burning.
Hello. So we're in the area where we last had those wild dogs this morning, and it's quite hot, so they're probably going to be sleeping. So we got to look carefully under all the bushes and all the shade. Now, wild dogs, as I said, are my favorite animal. That's because they're the most exciting. They're always running around all over the place. They're always up to something. But they could be napping at this time of the day because it's really, really warm. And so fingers crossed. They're very, very rare. They're actually an endangered species. There's less than 3,500 left in the whole of Africa. Now, I'm just going to have a quick look in the river here. Could be nice cool sand for them to sleep in. Now, when I say a river, most of the rivers in this part of South Africa are dry rivers, and they flow for very short times. Hello, Amore. Amore wants to know, what is a wild dog? Well, it's a predatory canid or canid species that lives out here, and it eats impalas and other antelopes. I will show you a picture of one in a second. I just need to concentrate while I cross the river. Now, one of the ways we find wild dogs is by smell. So I'm trying to see if I can smell them. See, now isn't this crazy? I'm driving off the road. Oh, there we go. So they were around here this morning in these guarri thickets here. Now I can't see them now. So they were sleeping here. Let me show you a picture of them quickly. So there we go, let's find a good picture of one. There we go, that is what a wild dog looks like. No? There? Kind of. Down a bit. And let's see if we've got a picture of the full body. There's the head shot. So they're very, very pretty. There we go. So those are African wild dogs. They're very, very fast movers. And they can do sort of 30-40 miles an hour for up to about 5 or 6 miles while they chase animals. So you'll see another car go past us. They're busy helping us look for these wild dogs, and they were all lying around here this morning. Cool. They were lying between this wallow and the next wallow in the guarries here just off the road.
Okay, we'll have another look here again.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so we were the last people with them this morning, so we're all checking around here to see if they've gone a different direction. Hi Joey. Joey would like to know how long I've been a safari guide. Joey, I've been a safari guide for about 15 years. I'm lucky though, I grew up in the safari business, so I spent my childhood in the bush, and I used to have a teacher who lived with us in the bush, so I was very, very lucky. So I've been in the bush, African bush, my whole life, and I love coming out and looking for animals. So now we're just checking that they're not snoozing in this shade. So this is where they were this morning. Now they can become very flat dogs when it's hot like this. Okay, so we're gonna keep looking for these wild dogs. While we do that, let's go to Stef and some elephant dung.
I managed to find my elephant dung. Here it is right here. I've just managed to scrape off the dry top part because the bottom of the dung is all wet because it's A, this dung was very fresh, and B, it's been raining here for the last couple of days, and so everything is a bit moist. So you can see there that is going to be too wet to burn, but it is going to protect my hands from the flame. So what we're going to do is take it like this, then we're going to find some sun. I have a magnifying glass, I carry it around in my bag, and mainly so that I can do this. Using the sun, concentrate a tiny little ball, and you'll see almost immediately the smoke starts to come out. You light a few pieces of wood and grass, just going around in a circle, and then when it is smoking quite a lot, what you do is you just blow on it. And what that does is it just transfers the heat into the dung and allow it to burn a little bit more. Rashad, you've just asked me a question. I've just battled to hear it. I'm just going to ask Kirsty to repeat it, and then I'll answer your question. Rashad, you just asked me, do animals eat the leaves when they're sick? They absolutely do, Rashad. So out here, and I was lucky enough to spend some time with a very dear friend of mine out here who constantly was self-medicating. And I kept on asking him, so why are you doing this for your sore kidneys and for your headache and for your sinus? And he said to me, do you see me being sick was what he said to me. And I said, no. He said, it's because I'm constantly taking the medicine out here. I think to a degree, the animals are very similar to my friend in that they're always eating these leaves and always eating this food. And in a way, they're constantly self-medicating. And yes, they do get sick, and sometimes the bush can't help them there. But for the most part, you constantly just look after yourself with a good diet and healthy food, and you're giving your body those building blocks to try and look after itself. Now, I've managed to get this burning. So we're just letting it transfer some of the heat. You can see there. I'm just going to take out a dung beetle here. It's trying its best to try and escape out the bottom. You can see some dung beetles that are moving away from the fire. Alright, so we got some decent smoke going here. Come and have a look inside. Can you see the coal? Alright, now we've got enough smoke. Now all I'm going to do is just waft it over my head, breathing it in. And what it will do is it will dilate or open up the veins in my head. So it will start to open up the veins in my head, which are being pressed in by the sinus infection at the moment. And that should ease blood flow through my head. And in theory, what it does is it reduces congestion-related headaches. So I'm just waiting for the smoke to have its effect, wafting it into my face. It's got quite a pleasant smell. It's not an unpleasant smell at all. It's like a burning compost heap, but just a very herby compost heap. Very nice. I quite enjoy it. Ah, yeah. It's not making me smell good, that's for sure. Might as well just make myself smell like the bush all over. That way we get closer to elephant next time. Yeah. Camouflaging myself. Now, Austin, you've wanted to know what elephant dung feels like. Austin, it's made up mainly of bits and pieces of wood and grass. You can see that here is a piece of wood. That is a stick. And this is a piece of grass. So it's quite fibrous-y, to be quite honest. It probably feels like a very rough sponge if I were to put a texture to it. Quite a roughish sponge, but something that you can compress. That's what a piece of elephant dung feels like. And depending on the time of year, they're eating a lot of grass now and marulas, but in the winter they eat a lot of sticks. Now, Maya, you wanted to know how strong the smell is. Maya, not that, I mean, it would be overwhelming if I stuck my head into this smoke at the moment. But even now that I'm in here, I got a big lungful over there, which is burning my right nostril, which obviously makes it good. It's working, clearing up my cold. It's not an unpleasant smell at all, Maya. It doesn't smell at all like you burning another animal's dung, to be honest. I suppose if you would try it at home, a piece of cow dung or a piece of horse dung would be a good place to start what this would smell like. That's probably about as close as what I could get to the beginning, only a lot more herby. You can smell the medicine in the bushes that they're eating being released. It's got a very herby smell coming out of it. Now this is starting to get quite hot on my hands over here, so I'm going to put it down and just enjoy the rest of the smoke that's coming off here. I already have a very clear head, to be quite honest. It gives you this cotton woolly feeling in the front of your head when you've now had enough. That's how I know I've had enough elephant dung smoke, is the fact that the front part of your brain starts to feel like you've got a marshmallow in your head, and I'm starting to get that marshmallowy feel. But it definitely has sorted out my headache. It's used all over the place as a headache remedy from time to time. So people make paper from it, they plaster their floors with it. Elephant dung has so many uses. Very, very nice. Anyway, my headache's done. I'm going to put this out so we don't run the risk of burning the rest of the bush down over here. And Brent is probably going to give you an update on his search for those wild dog.
I'm still looking for my puppies, but I can't find them just yet. I think they might have been chased by lions. And the reason I'm saying that is there are lion tracks right here, very close to where we left them this morning. So that means there are lions in the area as well. Oh, I wonder what's going on. Very exciting. We're just going to have a quick little look a little bit further. Now, wild dogs are very scared of lions, and it's probably one of the biggest threats to wild dogs out here in the African bush is lions. Hi, Devon. Devon wants to know how many wild dogs there are in South Africa. Genre? Oh, Ariel. Devon, overall, there's probably the wild dogs. So what I think is the lions chased them, and I think they would have run this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in a big loop. Hello, Austin. Austin wants to know, are they actually dogs? Yes, they are, Austin. And they are, but they're not closely related to your wolf or other dog, because the wolf is a dog. They're separated from them about 1.8 million years. They've got an extra toe that dogs don't have, and they've got specially designed teeth for ripping apart animals. So that's the two major differences between the wild dogs and domestic dogs and wolves. Even though they are really related to dogs, they have the same common ancestor. Okay. Hi, David. David would like to know, are wild dogs related to hyena? David, they are not. A hyena is actually more closely related to a mongoose than it is to a dog, even though they do have a dog-like face. Now, since I can't show you the wild dogs, I'm going to show you something quite cool that the wild dogs did this morning. So, when we were following them on the morning safari, they caught an impala, and there were 14 wild dogs. They managed to finish that whole antelope in less than 5 minutes, and this is all that's left. So you can see where the ground has been flattened. Now this darker coloration you're seeing around here is actually blood, and here, one shoulder bone of a baby impala. That's all that's left. So they finished it in about 4 minutes. They ate a whole baby impala. So very, very, oh, I thought I heard something. Effective predators. Yum, smells fresh. So you can see where they were feeding, where they caught the impala. You can see all the grass has been flattened around here as they were pulling it apart. And there's almost absolutely nothing left. I just find it amazing how quickly they can eat something like an impala. Okay, let's go see. I'm still hoping I'm going to find them. I never give up looking for wild dogs. Now, Jessica has asked a very interesting question. Jessica wants to know, why is the steering wheel on the right side? Well, Jessica, because being on the right side is right and being on the left side is wrong. I'm only teasing. So almost all ex-British colonies, in England they also have the steering wheel on the right. Most of Southern Africa, East Africa, all steering wheel on the right. That's just where we have our steering wheels. So that's the only explanation I can give for you. Oh. Okay guys, we're going to say a goodbye, and it's been great having you, and hopefully we'll see you on another drive soon, and we're going to say toodaloo for now, and see you maybe tomorrow or the next day. Now we're going to go across to Jamie.
And all the way away across at Cheetah Plains at Djuma Dam, the suddenly very full Djuma Dam. We've got 3 hippopotamuses. Just a quick reminder now that our school session is finished. A very warm welcome to any of our new viewers and, of course, our regular viewers as well. To you too. Don't forget to send through your questions using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@wildearth.tv. I'm just making sure the hippo's not going to come barreling out of the water. Highly, highly unlikely that will happen, just because a water hole or a dam is where hippopotamus feel safest, and for them now there's plenty of water about, so they should feel relatively secure in the center of their dam. I can't believe how full Djuma Dam is, and it's such a nice it is such a nice surprise to see 3 hippo here. Hello guys, wonder where you spent your hard seasons in the dryness of the drought, ducking under again. Oh, here comes. You might have seen a photobomb there from a little bee eater that just flashed through your screen, that beautiful green and yellow bird. That was another one. And all of our hippopotamus have popped under again. So this is a beautiful spot now. Hard to believe that we were sitting watching Styx cubs in here when it was completely dry. Now the water extends all the way up the drainage line, even to where we first saw the Styx cubs, the new Styx cubs, which is all the way up in that sort of general direction. When they were suckling, it was I think it was the first time we ever saw them. It's now completely underwater, much like our hippo, that are now completely underwater as well. There we go, popping up. I think this group of hippos seems to be quite shy. I think it's because they're not quite familiar with this dam just yet. They've only been here for a few days. This dam's only been full like this for a couple of weeks. They're still establishing themselves in this area. And it looks as though we've got at least 1 bull, which was what I was expecting. Oh, there it goes, flicking its ears. And then there's a young one there as well, and then potentially a female. It's hard to tell. Obviously, the adult bulls and the adult cows are quite different, just in terms of size. Oh, all 3 heads at once. Oh, and a bottom. A quick flick upwards. So the one at the back, I think, is just a female. Not just a female, that's not what I mean. I think she is a female, not just a young hippo. And I think this one here on the right, the one that's been making the most noise since our arrival, I think this is the male. There you go, you can see his head is sticking out of the water, ears popping out, eyes popping out, and nostrils potentially as well, as per James's amazing and, at this point, truly famous hippopotamus drawing. Oh, there we go, Djuma Dam. I was hoping to see some elephants swimming because it is baking hot this afternoon, but it doesn't seem as though that's going to be the case. We've got pachyderm swimming, just not the kind we thought we would. And speaking of things that we've been searching for, let's go across to Brent, find out if he's had any luck.
Hey, we've had lots of luck. It's my puppies. Hello, puppies. Now, they definitely got chased by the lion, so they're probably about 700-800 meters from where we left them this morning. But they are lovely and flat. Now, as with most creatures out here, patience is important, but less so with the dogs. I say it's probably going to be 20 minutes to half an hour before they get moving. 14 of them, they're definitely going to have to hunt again this evening. And hopefully there are still 14 after they run in with the lions. Let's try and do a little count. This is going to be quite difficult. There's 4 lying in that pile, 5, and then there's a massive pile. It's almost indistinguishable. You can't distinguish the dogs from the dogs. It's just a pile of dogs. So we'll have to wait till they get moving before we can be sure. And now Andy and Julia are wondering, are there any other types of dog that live in the bush. There are, we call them jackals, well, they're part of the dog family, and we have two species here in the Sabi Sands. We have side-striped and black-backed, and what other, dog family, Cape fox is another one of the dog family, bat-eared fox, but they occur in the more arid areas of the country. And if we go further north, golden jackal, and then the most interesting one for me, and probably the highest on my mammalian sort of bucket list of creatures to see, is the Ethiopian wolf, or simian fox, and they only live in the mountain highlands of Ethiopia. And then very recently in Egypt and Morocco, there has been a race of grey wolf, or a European wolf, that has been discovered living in North Africa. So when there was a land bridge between Arabia and Africa, there's a couple of species that managed to sneak across. Red deer, some of the sheep species. There we go. Oh, stretch. Sean. Sean, we've located my Dutch. From where you last saw me, just come back a little bit, a little bit further to the east. They've just suddenly stood up and they started heading straight west, chasing something. Right now, yeah. Sorry, guys. They keep coming. They've stopped at the pan. Okay, something caught one of the dog's attention. I'm not sure what it is. So something really caught that one dog's attention. I don't know if it's a sort of whiff of lion, but I didn't hear that very distinct alarm bark, that very deep bark. Well, we can do a bit of a count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So all present and accounted for. I wonder what got that dog riled. Now, Al's wondering, are wild dogs a threat to lion and hyena cubs? And leopard cubs, but only to the cubs. Although wild dogs are very good at sorting out adult hyenas, but not so good. If they caught them in the den, they definitely would be. But lion cubs that are being hidden when the adults aren't there, they are a danger. But if there we go. See, this is the dog that was very alert. But and with leopards, they are a big threat to leopards. I've actually seen a pack of dogs kill a female leopard before. Look, there's something that's got his attention. Hello, mister. This is that dog. I actually very much like him. He's got 2 holes in his right ear, which make him quite distinct. Sean, they've gone flat again. Now, Sean from Secunda wants to know how good is their hearing. Well, Sean, it is excellent. And of course, that's why they've got those massive ears. And it is mostly for protection or relocating each other. So they don't really use it for hunting. And you'll notice if they use their eyes for hunting when they spot. If they spot something, they'll actually flatten their ears as they move towards them. It's all calming down again. So while the dogs are relaxing before they get mobile, let's go across to Stef, who's got a creepy crawly arachnid for you.
This isn't the dogs that you're with are not the only thing that are relaxing at the moment. Here we have the female garden orb spider who's just relaxing on the stump. And I think it's because she actually saw us coming. Most spiders this size have quite a well-developed sense of self-preservation. And what they'll do is if they see something big coming along like a buffalo or an elephant or a person, they quickly run from their web to a place of safety, and in this particular case it's the stump. And now what she's doing is she's just waiting to see if this big bad person either walks through her web or leaves the vicinity so that she can go back to the center of her web, which gives her the most chance of feeling all the web elements that allow her to judge whether or not an insect has been caught in her web. But what is quite special about this particular garden orb web spider is that she is and has a suitor. There is a male garden orb web spider in her web, and I want to just do two things for you. Now most spiders, the males have a hard time of mating with the females, mainly because if they make a wrong mistake or they act like food or they don't get it right, the female will instinctively see them as a piece of prey and jump on them and devour them. Quite often, not in all spiders' cases, but quite often the male actually sacrifices himself to the female in order to inseminate her while she's busy killing and eating him. Isn't that just extraordinary? In this particular case, the male generally stays unnoticed because they are so much smaller than this particular spider. I'm going to give you a size comparison. Here's my thumb next to this particular spider, and as you can see, she's relatively large. I mean, she'd easily fit into my palm. Legs outstretched, she'd probably fill my palm. So she's quite a large spider. Now come and have a look at the male, who is just down here. Here he is at the tip of my finger, and he is about as big as my two thumbnails put together. That's about as big as he is. So you can see the massive size difference between my palm and two fingernails. He's probably about 100 times smaller than her. This is the male garden orb web spider, and although we do have garden orb web females on the show from time to time, it's very rare that we actually get to show you the male counterpart. Now he would have had to have walked here, I'm still absolutely I don't know how the males of these particular species of spiders actually find their way to the females. It could be because when she's ready to have her eggs inseminated, she's giving off pheromones, which he then tracks downwind. And what he'll basically do is walk here across all the grass in the ground, smelling his lady, or smelling this particular lady. And then when he finds an area that is just inundated with her scent, he climbs around everywhere until he finds one of her pieces of web and then climbs onto the web. Generally speaking, he'll hang on the extremities like this. So he's right on the outside of the web, and that's so that he can gauge what she's up to. Quite often what will happen then is that they'll do this quite elaborate dance, plucking on the strings. They can sing to their lady. Not all spiders do this. They can sing to their lady by plucking on the web in a very specific way. This particular guy probably gets away with the fact that he comes across as something that's just below her notice, and as soon as she comes close to him, he'll hitch a ride on with her, inseminate her quickly before she even realizes that he's there, and then move off. Now, James, you wanted to know if these spiders would build their webs close to game paths so that they could catch insects that are disturbed by the passing of the animals. James, that's a good question. In this particular case, the only reason why I found this female was because there's a very prominent game path that we walked on just behind where you are now. So probably about a yard or two. There we go. Craig is busy showing you. That is a prominent game path. Doesn't look like much now, but in the dry season I've used this particular crossing point often. However, that being said, I do not think that they would do that. mostly what they do is they build their webs in places where there's a good breeze, and they build their web parallel to the breeze. Now, for the last couple of months, there's been a very stiff breeze coming out of the south, and this particular web is angled straight down this drainage line in a north-south orientation. Doesn't look like it now with the sun there in the west, I know, but in this particular case, the web itself is slightly angled to that. If I were to put my back now to the, so probably northwest is where it's now, so northwest southeast orientation, that's where this web is now. And it's because what the spider's trying to do is catch insects that are using the wind as transport. And she's got this nice gap between these two trees that has allowed her to do that. But these, look, here she comes back. Awesome. She's coming back down. So now she's obviously realized that we're not going to do anything, and she's managed to slip past the male who is here, and she's going to come to the center of her web. There we go. And very characteristically, like, group her legs in pairs so that it looks like she's just got one, like there's a cross. And now she's got herself plugged into her web. She's got her feet in touch with elements on her web that allows her to judge any disturbance. She'll pluck on the web if there is a disturbance, and if there is something caught in her web, she'll move out there and immobilize it and wrap it up. I think that's quite nice. She's come back now, even with us standing here. Awesome. Right, and on that note, I think it would be a good time for you to go back to those dogs with Brent before they run away or do something else exciting.
Well, at the moment they're being quite calm compared to what they can be, so it's quite a nice time to have a look at some of the behavior we're seeing here. Now, it's not so important in an established pack of wild dogs like the Investec pack, but in an unestablished pack of wild dogs. So when how wild dog packs form is generally two members of the same sex will leave their home group, and they'll set off and hopefully bump into two members of the same sex from a different pack. So two females will leave this pack, or two males will leave another pack, and once they merge, it's very, very important in that what the research has shown, if in the first 3 or 4 months of the pack being formed, that they don't lie exactly like this on top of each other, forming close social bonds, those packs normally fail and will disintegrate, and those animals will disperse away from them again. So I mean, not so relevant in a well-established pack like this, but you can see that close-knit community of the dogs, those bonds, like we see with lions and other social animals, or social predators in particular, that these bonds need to be constantly improved and reassured. And obviously it's a slightly different type of social dynamic with the dogs and the cats. Michael is wondering, will wild dogs ever grieve when they lose a pack member? And hello, Ryan. Ryan is trying to make me smile and do funny things while I'm alive, so I just embrace it and carry on talking. And there we go. So what we're talking about is now that will any of the individuals grieve when a pack member is killed? Generally, with an animal like a wild dog that only lives for a very short period of time, average lifespan in this area is about 6 or 7 years. They don't have time to grieve. They've just got to keep on moving. And also with the young ones, they have such a high mortality rate of about 75 to 80%. So to see this many of the sort of pups getting to 8 months, 9 months, I mean, they're getting close to that year mark where that mortality rate drops down exponentially. So Investec's doing a great job at the moment. Now, I'm pretty sure they had a run-in with those lions earlier from the tracks I could see from where we left them. So luckily, no missing puppies from what we can see. We've got a friend who's joined us in the vehicle, quite a pretty one as well. Not the most relaxed one, keeps attacking me, but isn't that stunning? It's a big female mantid. It's a good thing I'm not a male mantid. Look at those beautiful little spots on the inside of her arm, and I mean, you can see those, I'm going to try to turn her sideways a little bit, you can see those impressive sort of daggers on her arms that she uses to impale her prey and her mate. Isn't that amazing? Now, on certain manta species, I've actually had blood drawn when I've tried to catch them or move them out of my tent when I was living in the Gabonese rainforest. But those mantids were literally bigger than my hand. All those things are impressive. Now, imagine that on a large scale. We wouldn't stand a chance. And I also love their eyes. Let's have a... Oh, she's very much focused on me. And you can see how that yellow stripe that runs from her face actually runs right into the eye as well. And I'm going to see if she'll let me. I'm going to turn her like this, Jean, so we can see if we can just see her mouth part. I know she's not going to let me. It's okay. I'm just trying to see if we can see her mouth parts. Let me see if I can get her onto this single finger and see if I can just hold her upside down for a second. Doesn't want to let go of my hand. And see, she's calmed down a little bit, so she's not attacking me as fiercely as she once was. I'm going to try just do that. Oh, my finger's going to get in the way, isn't it, Chandra? Maybe if I do that. Oh, no. Her head's too low to actually have a look into her mandibles. But it is an exquisite creature. Now, the reason I can tell it's a female, now we're going to try swing around to see her. There we go. And you can see her back end there. So the males would obviously have a different shaped appendage. Okay. Shall we let her go? Oh, she doesn't seem to want to go. Fly, be free. Okay, we'll let her go at her own speed. She really doesn't want to leave me now. There we go. Now, Lily in New Mexico. Do you like my new friend? Manti the Mantid. Or Mantina, it's a girl. Lily, who's 9 years old and watching from New Mexico, would like to know how many puppies can a wild dog have. Now, they have very large litters. The biggest litter I've heard of is about 25, but normally 10 to 15 puppies is regular. And remember, only one female wild dog out of all of them will give birth, and that is the alpha female. So only the alpha female and the alpha male will give birth. And the rest of the pack's whole sole existence is to basically rear the pups. They're one of the only animals outside of human beings where the young actually have a higher social standing than the adults. So the adults live to please the young, which is a very human-like concept. It's very, very special to be able to spend time with the wild dogs, and of course our new friend Mantina the Mantid. But while we sit here patiently waiting to see if the dogs get moving, let's go back to Jamie and see where she is and what she's up to.
I am bumbling through Cheetah Plains, and to be more specific, I am on the southern open area. Ow. I just flew into my face. I'm in the southern open area of Cheetah Plains clearing. So this vast open space that Gnormless Gnorman the Gnu, Brent's name, not mine, Gnormless Gnorman the Gnu likes to spend his days. I'm on the search for the cheetah. I'm hoping to find them reunited once again, or perhaps in Kanyeni, although apparently she was on in Coral this morning. And actually, I've done the whole of the southern boundary looking for Kuchava, who is Tundi's daughter. She's a female leopard. And I saw her there not too long ago when we were doing one of our private rehearsals for our TV shows. That was last week, Sunday evening, I saw her there. So there we go. The vast open area of Cheetah Plains and Mala Mala has to offer Gnormless. How are you today, Gnormless? Well, good. I am well too, thank you. Have you seen some spotted things? Cheetah, leopards, hyena, Lions? I know they're not really spotted, but... No? Okay, that's rude. Back to grazing he goes. This is the territorial... I'm joking around with him, but this is the territorial wildebeest bull of this area. So this is his territory. He's got ample supply of grass, as you may or may not have gathered, judging by the vast grassy field that he's standing in. He's also got plenty of water as well. So it's the perfect spot for a male blue wildebeest to establish his territory, in the hope that perhaps when breeding season comes and he keeps hold of this territory, the ladies might come and visit, just because it is such a perfect place. It does really feel as though we haven't seen all that many wildebeest herds this season. We spent so long watching that one wildebeest herd raise its babies last year, from birth right up until the point that they were growing their little horns. This year it just hasn't really happened, this rainy season. It just goes to show the different dynamics in terms of where the animals move, depending on rainfall. Cremlins isn't going anywhere though. I'm just taking the opportunity while I'm sitting here with Cremlins to try and see whether or not there is not a cheetah hiding in the shade somewhere here. Unfortunately, the grass has got so long, it's not quite the same experience that it was no, not unfortunately, let me rephrase that. In terms of animal watching, unfortunately, the grass has got so long that it becomes a bit more tricky than it was a few months ago. We're not, of course, going to complain about the fact that there is grass and food for the animals to eat. I see that buffalo have been through here. I've seen some fresh buffalo tracks, some not entirely fresh male leopard tracks also walking along the southern boundary of cheetah plains. But unfortunately, no cats, just Cremlins. In that case, I'm going to move on in search of other things to show you. While I do, Stef has found some beautiful butterflies.
I have. Now, I'm nowhere near the butterfly aficionado this year as Brent, but I do think that these are the African migrant, and the African migrant butterfly had the caterpillar that infested the terminalias, the silver cluster leaves, this year, and absolutely defoliated them almost completely when they infested the tree. And I just want to get as close as we can to these, but they are just... That, as you're looking at there, is just for me one of the prettiest butterflies out here. Not because they're the most cryptically colored or have the most bold patterns on them. They just got the most unbelievable sort of greenish blue tinge to them. Their scales have that green wash that you're witnessing over there on the closed side, on the bottom side, the ventral side. But when you get into a certain angle with them, or when they turn into a certain way, they almost got this bluish wash to them. And just one of the prettiest butterflies to me, and especially on an open piece of ground like this wallow. Now what they're doing on the ground here is they are sucking up the moisture and salts that has been exposed by the drying up water. And these salts would be crystallized now through evaporation on the surface of this mud wallow, and the butterflies, while it's still liquid and in concentrated form, they can then suck up these salts and use it. Now I think let's try and get a little bit closer to them. I don't know how close they're going to allow us to get, and what we've got to try and watch out for is our shadow going across them, because it would be our shadow that disturbs them ultimately. So I think what we're going to do is let's get you as close as we can in this direction here. And the one on the left looks bluer to me. The one on the left hand side is definitely the prettier of the two for me. From this angle, I definitely have a blue wash there. So I'm just going to step back and allow Craig to go in there as much as what he feels comfortable with. And get ready for your screen grabs, because they do make some lovely background wallpapers for anything from your telephone all the way through to your screensavers on your computers and your TVs. There we go. Look at that. And this is on Bushwalk, everybody. Don't forget, this is live and handheld. No tripod like we've got in the car. Craig's busy using his knee at the moment in this sort of semi-squat position. See the wind blow that butterfly over. Just have a look at that color change there. There it's almost green again. They're almost a yellowy color now. And the top wing there, blue. Just absolutely one of my most favorite butterflies, and it looks like they're coming a little bit closer as well. So what we'll do is we'll hang around over here and see if we maybe can get you something that's a slightly better. Now Reva, you've just agreed with me that you think that's one of the prettiest butterflies. Thank you, Reva. I like these plain colored butterflies that have these aspects, these subtleties to them. That's definitely has my vote, these butterflies here. This one is trying to get closer to us. Not really getting, no, it looks like they're finished on this particular pan. Yeah, he's moved off. I'm quite happy that we got these butterflies sucking up the last little bit of moisture. Let's go and see how much moisture is actually left here. Now, not much. As you can see, this is where the butterflies were busy sucking up the last little bit of moisture. This will be dry if we have the same heat as we did today. This will be dry by tomorrow. So literally just the last little bit of moisture that these butterflies can do. No, I don't taste any of the salts that they... Actually, there's a bit of salt there, actually. Wow. That's quite interesting. Anyway, while I muse over why that was the case, why don't we send you over to Brent and those wild dogs.
Oh, there's some interesting but quite disturbing behavior happening there. One of the males was literally helping a piece of feces out of the female and then urinating on top of it. Now, of course, wild dogs use defecation and urine as part of their scent marking. We are getting to the right time of the day when they're going to get moving. As I said, they don't stay flat for too long in comparison to the other predators. Now, most of the adults have moved off behind us. Now the puppies are starting to wake up, so we hopefully should be seeing that incredible greeting ceremony shortly. All that tittering and high-pitched squeaks and whines. Now, the whole pack will scent mark, not just the adults or the alphas. And there we go. You can see where the female scent marked earlier. Immediately, there's a male urinating on top. Now, one of the things I always find absolutely hilarious is that they love defecating on top of hyena middens. Now, there's one of the most beautiful wild dogs in terms of coats I've seen in quite a long time, and she's just having a scratch at the back, but look at that coat pattern. It's so distinct and so stunning. Now wait when she walks, she's just got the loveliest coat. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Hi, Geraldine. Geraldine would like to know, do the wild dogs have unique coat patterns exactly like the zebras or leopards do? Definitely. They are as unique as you can see. They're actually probably more unique, and the patterns are more different than you would find in leopard and in zebra. Greeting ceremony is about to take place. We need to get into the right spot. Now this is the precursor to the hunt and Stef's heart failure. So there's a bit of begging going on from a sub-adult to an adult. Laura would like to know, how do I know which pack it is? Is it by their numbers? Yes, by their numbers. I got their numbers of the individuals from the Endangered Wildlife Trust, but also I do recognize the old half-tailed male and the alpha pair, because we did spend a lot of time with them not so long ago. Or actually, but also I do recognize the old half-tailed male and the alpha pair, because we did spend a lot of time with them not so long ago, or actually about a year ago. So there we go. It's a bit of a stop-start affair, but not nearly as start as sort of a lion getting moving. They probably they've had a little drink, and there was a little bit of chasing each other around. And as I say, from a time point of view, what is the time? No, I said they would get moving at about 1:30. And it is nearly past. Oh, quickly across to Jamie to a bird I know you've all been dying to see.
A bird that we've all been dying to see, and with jolly good reason, because look how utterly stunning this carmine bee-eater is. This is only the second... No, that's not true. It's the only second one I've seen live since the start or the return of the carmine bee-eaters to this area. But isn't it utterly gorgeous in this afternoon light? That pink and green contrast. Not very difficult to see where the name of this particular bird species came from. Oh, bye-bye. Might come back. Oh, wow. Coming back. No. Ooh, changing direction. It's after something. Hold on a moment. It might come back to the same perch if it doesn't manage. They often do. Oh, this one's playing games with us. No, it's decided to go onto the dead tree. Oh, except for that one that is over there. Well done, Viam. I didn't see that one. The whole time I was busy looking at the one the other one was doing. I must have got them mixed up in the air. There's two of them. The other one is in a dead tree that's off to my right, but I can't even see it anymore. And so Viam did a far better job of keeping... There it goes. I didn't know there were two either. I must have got them mixed up as they flew past. Here we go. There's number 2 or number 1. I'm not quite sure which. Hey, look at that. Look how utterly exquisite it looks with this sort of sheen. We don't really think of them as being shiny birds when we see them. We think of them as being very vivid and very vibrant, but not shiny. And you can actually see that they do have a real glimmer to their feathers, just as quite a few of the birds do, starlings and so on. All made by an overlay of keratin that changes the way that the light strikes the feather. Utterly stunning birds. Very easily identifiable even in flight with their long tails. None of the other bee-eaters that we regularly see out here have that long, thin, sort of almost spear-like point sticking out of their tails. Beautiful birds. Can see its head constantly moving from side to side. They definitely look in better shape than when I first started seeing carmine bee-eaters in the Lowveld this season. When they first arrived, they were looking a little bit bedraggled and a little bit miserable after their long-distance journey from Africa, from further north in Africa. Now looking a lot healthier, thanks to a couple of healthy meals. Somewhere here, I can hear a black-bellied bustard calling as well. Tempted to go and see if I can find it quickly, since our carmine is being very well behaved and sitting still. Project Alpha, you want to know if I've ever seen the carmine And we do apologize to all of you for that brief break in transmission. I'm going the wrong way. I'm about to go on to Nkoro. I don't think they'd be terribly impressed to see me. Can I go this way? Is that... Am I going crazy? I might be going crazy. This new dam is confusing me. We do apologize for the break in our transmission. We had a problem with our... something. Don't quite know what we had a problem with. Oh, there's the road. I'm going mental. Sorry, Viam. No, that's a mitre drain. I see it. I see it. We do apologize. Bringing you a live safari from the middle of the African bush sometimes comes with interesting complications. But we thank you for your patience and we're glad that you are all here. And while I try and work out where I am and how to get somewhere else... Oh, there we go. I got it. Well done, Viam. He's spot on. Let's go back to Brent and his wild dogs.
Oh yeah, we're still with the dogs. And they have started slowly getting moving. You can see they do love water. And in certain parts where they've got to cross rivers and stuff, they always seem to choose pans. They are nervous of deep water where there could be a crocodile. So there we go. Oh, looks like they... Oh, lion! No! 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 Oh no! Hold on, hold on, hold on! That came out of nowhere. Oh no, she's after another dog! Oh no! Oh no! She's going back to kill this dog here. Have you got that, Jean-Andre? Let me just go around. Oh no. Oh man, this. Guys, just be warned, this is really, really difficult to look at. This is nature and this is really hard for me. This is my favorite animal. It's one of the youngsters. And we were just talking about how high their mortality rates are. And the biggest threat to them is lions. Oh no, I'm shaking. Oh. The rest of the pack are still watching. Ah, this is so sad, guys. It's one of the Styx Lionesses. Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh no, guys. There's that. Guys, this is so... I'm sorry, this is natural. I do warn you, this is... You got to be very careful. This is really, really, really difficult. Oh, she's going after the dogs again. No, go dogs! Move it! Move! Okay. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say, guys. I know this is so difficult. What I think happened is the hooded vultures spotted. The lion spotted the hooded vultures coming down, and that's what attracted her to here. Apparently there's a Birmingham boy on his way here as well. This is such a thing. That thing is that the wild dog is dead. There's not much we can do. We're going to try to see what's happening with the rest of the pack. Let me just... Okay, so they went off there. Now there's no real roads in this area. Now this... Okay, let's just... What's happened now is the pack will have bombshelled. It might even take them 45 minutes to half an hour to get back together. And you know what? This is... Okay, let's take a breath. Here comes the lioness. She's coming back. And guys, I know this is going to be very difficult for a lot of you. So this is nature and this is live, so I cannot script what's going to happen next. The wild dog is dead. She might feed on it, so we're not going to chase after the pack. I mean, this is really difficult for me. Wild dogs are my favorite animal, but this is behavior that you never really get to see. So we're going to stick with the lioness. She's probably going to come pick up that carcass again. She left it in the grass here. Now, it'll be interesting to see if the Birmingham boy comes back. Now this is predator on predator. So look at that, she's making sure it's dead. I'm going to try and find a little gap through the grass for you, Jandre. Now guys, if you are sensitive, now is not the time to be watching. There's another lioness coming. She's biting the. Sorry, I'm all over the place, guys. Just take a second. So there's a second Styx Lioness coming in. I'm not sure where the male is. Stations is not too. One Satengala at Bobin Pan. She has started feeding on the carcass. Okay, so I've just heard Sean's got them. They're heading east. And they're heading far away from here. Now she spotted the other lioness. They've spotted each other. Now obviously she would have heard that commotion from the dogs, that distress call. Now I'm pretty sure that what happened is hooded vultures and whiteback vultures will follow wild dogs. And while we were sitting watching the wild dogs at the pan, a hooded vulture landed very close by and the lions came to investigate. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the carcass. Now you can see the wild dog's tail still flicking. Don't worry, the wild dog is not alive. That is just its nerves. Its nerves still going. Wow, guys. Oh, that as you know, that happens in a flash. Now you understand maybe a little bit how that life and death line is so close out here. Now she's not even feeding on it, she's just walking away from it. Let's see what the second lioness does, Jandre, as she gets to the carcass. So she might just attack the carcass because it's another predator, because it's a wild dog, even though it's dead. She might just sniff it and leave it. It's going to be interesting to see what she does. See, there we go. Exactly what I was predicting. I just got to help you guys. Guys, I can hear them calling, sounding closer to Zebra Drive on the the western side of the Skova. Second Styx Lioness is now come to Bobin Pan. I didn't even get a glimpse of which youngster that was. I really hope it wasn't that one that's got that really pretty coloration. See, look at that standing by. Sorry guys, there's lots of... I firm 2 1 Satyangale here. Playing with the carcass at the moment. This is... Okay, apparently there's a Birmingham on his way here. maybe Wilson would like to know if the other, or would hope that the other wild dogs got away. They did. They found them again. They're heading east towards Djuma. So they're just leaving the carcass. Now I just want to see, turn around so I can see where that Birmingham boy is coming from. No, he was a bit further away, but you see that they're not feeding on the carcass. They might feed on the carcass if they were incredibly hungry. So there's the carcass in the grass. No positive note for me on this, but I don't think that dog suffered for very long. I think it was over very, very quickly. Now we can just see the lioness who actually killed her is just disappearing in the grass over there. Heading back to where she came from. Oh, nothing can ever prepare you for things like that. And I mean, I've seen lions do this before, but I mean, we haven't had dogs around for so long, and third lioness coming in. So this is the third Styx Lioness. Now, Joanne is wondering whether the lions kill the dogs because they are competitors for prey. That is it, and they're also a threat to cubs. So there we go. The third lioness. And now let's see if she goes up to that carcass. She can smell it. Now I don't know where the Birmingham is. I heard he was heading in this general direction. See, look at that instinctive grab for the throat. Making sure it's dead. I know this is really, really disturbing, so just bear in mind if it's too much for you, just turn your TV off, go make a cup of tea. So I'm suddenly having a bit of a problem with my comms there, breaking up. Look at this. So I'm sorry guys, I just need to let the guys on Djuma know that the wild dogs are heading for them. Oh no. This is so sad. Yes, the Birmingham's here. The Birmingham's here. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does. Might chase her off that wild dog carcass. Look at him, he's stalking her. And he's interested in one thing. Well, where there's death, there must be life. So he completely ignored. How interesting is that? He completely ignored the wild dog carcass. Maybe he'll come have a look now. There we go. Now he's investigating. Okay, he's ignoring it. Stations just quickly, Mahloa heading towards Zebra Drive, Triple M. They've just been chased by Ngala in the west, and one of them was killed. So they are highly mobile towards Djuma. So they're having a drink now. Now, of course, I'm still sort of trying to process what happened. So I think the female that actually killed the wild dog is the mother of the cubs, and she's now headed back to fetch the cubs. Okay, so I don't think anything else is going to happen here, and those dogs sound like they're going to jump across to Djuma. So I think let's might leave these lions before they break my heart anymore, and go see if we can catch up with the pack. Oof. What a roller coaster today. And okay, let's leave these lions. Okay, well, we're going to leave these lions. There's other people coming in. I still just need a moment to draw myself towards myself, and we can discuss what happened a little later. But while we do that, let's go across to Jamie and see what she's up to.
I'm driving around 3 in a row pan is what I'm up to. But I have to say that news has kind of taken the wind out of my sails a little bit. I know it's natural and everything, but it's utterly devastating, and I really feel for Brent and Gendre having to witness something like that, because it's utterly awful to see. And the loss of one wild dog is such an enormous loss when it comes to the entire species. I mean, there's less than 500 of them in South Africa, give or take. So the loss of one is an utterly devastating blow. And it happens, we know it happens. And we can't demonize the lions for it. It's still very, very sad. It's a pity, we were having such a jokey, laughy drive. Shame. Poor dog. But it is one of those things, and we will pull ourselves towards ourselves. The happy news is we're going to go, as it starts to get a little bit darker, since Cheetah Plains is quiet, to say the least, although I'm actually quite thankful. We've had the quiet portion of the drive. We haven't had to deal with any of those sad moments. Oh, there's some kudu. Let's look at some pretty kudu. Something nice after the sadness of that sighting. Hopefully Brent manages to catch up with the rest of the wild dogs on Djuma. I was going to say, we're going to head towards the hyena den in a bit, see whether or not Gwen can provide us with any solace, Gwen and her cubs. Here we go. Hello, lovely ladies. It's always tough to see something like that. And somehow we're able to disconnect ourselves quite a bit when it comes to antelope that are being killed by predators. And I suppose it's just because we simply have to, and the predators have to behave in the way that they do. Doesn't mean it's not sad when it happens. And pretty girls gathering together, enjoying the bright, bright green. I cannot believe how green everything is at the moment. The bush is healthy. Life will continue. Somewhere around here, I think there is a male leopard. It's a pity because those tracks that I saw earlier were quite old. Now, if it was quarantine, he's made something of a speciality out of hunting kudu, which, I don't know, it got me thinking, because I was thinking about it before with Hosanna, Karula's young leopard cub, where the distinction comes in, where a leopard first learns what kind of prey it's large enough to tackle, because even for a male leopard, a kudu is a seriously intimidating creature. They're very large antelope, and they weigh more than a male leopard weighs. And I wonder where that step happens, if they sort of graduate just going from kudu calves to slightly bigger kudu calves to adult kudus, or if they are intimidated before they hunt something large for the first time. Don't know. Shame, that one kudu's got a very watery eye, the female at the back. I think she potentially has poked herself. And they're very good at feeding on thorns and around thorns and in thick vegetation, but every now and again it goes awry. It could also have been an oxpecker as well that came a little bit too close. Now, of course, shame, she's turned her head so we can't see. Yes, you. Both of her eyes are a bit watery. Oh, in that case it might be an infection of some kind. The fact that both of her eyes are watering like that. There you can see. It does happen. Looks a little bit like she's crying, but it's probably an infection of some kind, perhaps in her it could be in her sinuses. Could also, I suppose, potentially be botfly larvae. They do often invade the sinus cavity around the eyes of animals like this. So it could be that. You can see in contrast the other antelope, the other kudu's eyes are absolutely fine. Alright. Let's go see, since our kudu are standing in the shade, let's go see what else we can find. Shame, this afternoon, Brent and Jandre set off in such a cheerful mood. The weather's been so peculiar that we've got a roof on and Brent and Jandre don't, on the basis that we thought at least one of us should, especially if we were going to Cheetah Plains. Now it, of course, is blazing sunlight, and when I last saw Brent and Jandre driving past us, they were singing the Flintstones theme song, because with our vehicle roof, which you can kind of see in the shadow, our Flintstones roof. But yes, they were in a terribly good mood. I doubt that they're going to be showing the same jovial nature. Joshua, you're absolutely right. It is unfortunate, but it is the way of the bush. And unfortunately, you can't only, well, maybe you can, I don't think so though. You can't really only love the good sides of nature. It's like loving a person and loving them for their faults and their good side. And the same goes for the bush. Sometimes it's horrible and harsh and very difficult to understand, because we talk about competition and the fact that lions and leopards and predators will kill each other in order to reduce competition, but it's hard to see how wild dogs would really be considered competition to them. They're effective hunters, certainly, but it's all part of nature's control and balancing mechanisms. It's just very, very sad. And I'm sorry for those of you that witnessed it. I know it's not easy to watch. And it's so strange because, I mean, while we go through this dip, it's been so long since there were lions in that area. The Salalas have been backwards and forwards from there, but really, there haven't been that many predators. The Styx haven't been there. They haven't been on Arathusa all that often. They've usually been around this part of Cheetah Plains. So far east, I mean west, opposite direction to east. It's where they killed a buffalo not so long ago. It's where the cubs all came running, and I suppose Those cubs have all not... Okay, now I'm just getting depressing now. None of the Styx cubs made it either in the sighting I'm thinking of. Let's go find something cheerful. It's where we first saw Kachava. That's happy. Just want to check here quickly. No. I'm also very curious to know whether or not the Cheetah brothers managed to make it their way back to each other. I agree, Stuart. I think we need some Ellies to raise our spirits. There's nothing like an elephant sighting to make you feel better. I've found that in any mood that I'm in. Elephants have a way of sort of leveling everything out and just bringing a little bit of perspective back. That's what we need. You're right, Stuart. There's elephant tracks everywhere, so I promise you, if I see an elephant, I will stop for it and we can have some time spent with them. I'm quite looking forward to spending a little bit of time at a hyena den as well. We'll go back and see whether we have any more luck getting those cubs used to our vehicles. It's the extraordinary thing about elephants, and I've never met, except for people that are petrified of them, and there are people who are really utterly terrified of elephants. They just cannot stomach being near them. But apart from the people that are terrified of elephants, I've never met a single person who's come away from an elephant sighting in a bad mood or angry or upset. They've got this amazing way of taking away a little bit. Maybe it's just the distraction of them. Let's find you something pretty to look at. Has it stopped? No. Trying to show you a European roller, but it kept flying. Come on, Veer. We need something cheerful. Cheerful and exciting. I also find leopards cheerful. A surprise leopard would certainly do wonders. I'm trying to find a leopard. It's a beetle. It's gonna be about as close as we get. Now where's it gone? There was a beetle. There it is. You see it there on the corner of on the side of the road. Here we go, a little ground beetle. Predatory ground beetle. Not quite what I was going for. It has yellow stripes and 2 yellow spots. Doesn't quite count though, does it? And it's dashed away. Note to self, bad time to drive west. Right, I'm going to search for some cheerful things to try and cheer you all up. And while I do that, perhaps Stef has something to offer you all.
I hope I have something to offer you, other than I was just going to have a discussion on how I feel about that wild dog and lion interaction, you know? And isn't it just amazing how things in a blink of an eye can change just like that? I mean, it's just incredible. No laughing matter, not a funny matter at all, but it does definitely happen out here. I personally have seen leopard catch wild dog. I've never seen lion bump into wild dog like that and tackle one, but it's not unheard of, definitely. And I'm sure Brent has regaled you with many stories in his experiences as to what has caught wild dog like that. But shame, they do seem to have very little in terms of defenses. Them and cheetah share that similarity in that they're both so superb at hunting and at filling the niche that they occupy, but they have very little to offer in defense to the more advanced cats, things like leopard and lion, for instance. Absolutely dominate them when it comes down to a one-on-one sort of battle, and just shocking, I suppose. Is it unexpected? No. Is it one of those things that is sort of unfortunately not hastening the demise of the wild dogs, but just increasing the pressure that they're already feeling, is this inability for them to adapt to the faster evolving lion and leopard, it seems. But out here, I think all African predators in some way or another are under a similar type of threat. Obviously, with only 300 wild dog in the Kruger National Park, losing even just one, like you've just witnessed now, is a significant damage. But at a species level, at a global level, losing this wild dog today is a major impact on wild dog species. But in the same breath, lion, for instance, there are less than 1,000 lions, somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 lion in the Kruger National Park, less than 20,000 lion left in Africa. And I mean, lion numbers have plummeted in the last 20, 30 years as well, to a point where you don't find lion outside of very well protected wilderness areas like this, and even there they're getting hammered. Leopard, on the other hand, they occur quite frequently outside of the boundaries of national parks, and quite frequently outside of the conservation areas, but even they are being targeted for their skins and for their skeletons and for their body parts, like their nails and their teeth and claws, and I mean, just at a level that's just not sustainable. And then of course we have cheetah, where there's also only about 300 cheetah in the Kruger National Park, also only about 1,500 to 2,500 cats in Africa, in southern Africa at least. And they, once again, they feeling environmental pressure. They also can't adapt to the competition. They can't adapt to leopard and lion. However, I think on a more cheerful note than that, is the fact that I think that cheetah probably have one of the best chances of surviving now than they ever had. There's massive amounts of conservation energy and effort going into cheetah conservation, and because they're actually so successful outside of the wilderness areas where lion do not occur anymore, the numbers outside of the parks have started to rise, funnily enough. So though they're still critically endangered because just the volume of cheetah are not there anymore, they don't seem to be suffering from the same malady that the wild dogs do, and that wild dogs are very susceptible to canine distemper and rabies and diseases that domesticated dogs can pass on to them, and do frequently pass on to them, to the detriment of entire packs sometimes. I mean, 2 years ago, the pack that lives on Blue Canyon, which is a reserve where Brent's parents have a house, the entire pack died as a result of canine distemper. Now there's, I think, 3 or 4 dogs that have been reintroduced there again, but still just shocking at how quickly things can change. And even a pack as healthy as what we were witnessing can lose one of their members as quickly as what they did. Makes me worry about walking around out there. You never quite know what you're going to bump into next. Just trying to have a look at what this is. I think it's a marula seed, but I'm not actually quite sure. Have a look at this. I think this is a marula seed that has gone through the gut of an impala, and the gastric juices have done their work, but also have managed to flatten out what is usually quite fuzzy. So if you had to ferment or scrape away at a marula nut, you'll find that the fruit sticks to the seed with this type of fuzz. And the only way that we're going to find out is by hauling out this tool and by polishing away. There we go. So there, I've just confirmed this is a marula nut. I was beginning to doubt my sanity there for a bit. You can see that brown casing there, that brown woody casing, that is the actual nut, and inside there's the seed. So we're able to get the window, that mythical aperture that you can open, that I haven't managed yet to do for you live on screen. I normally have to resort to bashing it open with a stick. but I can show you, that's actually a very good way of showing you this aperture. So there you go, there you can see that mythical place that you can now access the seed from. And how you do it is you have to find the hinge. So what you do is you just undo the hinge there. Fair for you. No, not going to work this time. You know, it's one of these things. One day I'll get it right, eh? There we go. Got it. Okay. And there's the seed on the inside. Now this has passed through an impala's nether regions. But there you can dig out the seed like that and then pop it into your mouth. Very almondy. I quite enjoy these. Alright, and that is exactly what I wanted to do with my runny nose. I wanted to stop the runny nose. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a bunch of leaves, we're going to fold them into a circle, keeping all the sharp ends, of course, on the inside. And why I'm folding it into a circle is because I wanted to unwind. But I only wanted to unwind when I wanted to unwind. Righty, so that's what we're going to do with that one. And then I'm going to put it in my nostril and I'm going to let it unwind. And what I'm hoping it does is that it takes the mucus that is running out my nose and it makes it dry and it stops my runny nose. Now, once I've stopped my runny nose and I can concentrate on something else, what we're going to do is we're going to find something for my headache. So we're going to find something for my headache, and once I've sorted out my headache and I can think again and I don't have a lot of mucus running out of my nose, then we're going to look at finding something for my sore throat, and then we should be okay. So for now, I'm going to be walking around with my tissues in my nose, my astringent tissues that have tannin in it. So just to recap on what I'm busy doing over there now, is the fact that it binds up mucus. So tannin binds up mucus into something that stops it from being runny, and that's what I'm doing now. Now, Julie, you just asked me, are we likely to see a snake today? Probably not, to be honest, but you can never tell out here, to be really fair. So yes, there's every opportunity that we'll see a snake. It doesn't necessarily we don't normally see snakes on Bushwalk, 1 or 2 a month probably, and almost all of them in the summertime. So like now, where it's summer and the snakes are active for a long period of the day because they are cold-blooded. Snakes need the environment to warm them up so that they can start moving, and they can only really move when their bodies are at exactly the right temperature. You also have a similar thing. Our bodies are at 37 degrees centigrade. I'm not quite sure what that is in Fahrenheit, probably 80 something or 90 something, to be honest, and our bodies can only operate at that temperature. Too high or too low and we've got problems. Snakes have a little bit of a broader band, but they are still restricted to a certain minimum temperature and a certain maximum temperature. And so when it's very hot, they don't move around. When it's very cold, they don't move around. But when it's just right, they do. And this is actually a good time to see snakes, is this time of the day. All right, my nose has stopped running. I can breathe out of it now. Yeah. All right, now we are going to be looking for some headache tablets, but before I do that, I'm going to be answering David's question. He wanted to know what the leaves smell like. David, I can't smell anything because my sinuses are so blocked, but I would imagine, just from using it previously, that when you've mowed your grass and there's that very green smell that comes from fresh cut grass from your lawnmower, that is what I'm smelling at the moment. So, I can make it smell a bit differently. We have got things out here that make things smell nice as well. So I can make my fresh green grass smell like licorice by using this plant. Now Maya, you've asked me how long does it take to get better using these leaves. Maya, to stop my nose from running happens almost immediately. This tannin that is in these leaves is very, very good at binding mucus and holding it nice and tight and to stop running. So it's actually very good. It worked almost immediately. I can breathe now without too much trouble.
best ways to find wild dogs is, especially in a situation like this, if there is maybe 1 or 2 dogs that were separated from the rest of the pack, and they do the contact calling. Woo, woo, woo. But I haven't heard that since that initial action happened. So we can't hear anything, and let's go back to Stef, who's enjoying a marula meal.
I have been actually. I haven't actually moved far at all. I'd like to tell you that it's because I'm trying to listen for the wild dog contact call, the same as Brent, but it's not. It's because I wanted to dig out the other seed inside this marula pip, and it took me a bit of time, and I wanted to eat it, which I now have done, and now I can move on. So I'm feeling quite comfortable. I am going to give this to Craig, who I hope will shine this up with his finger. Quite often these marula nuts, if you just rub them,
Bit of a worry for all of us, because we know how silly young Hosanna is with
to the wood, and then you can drill a hole through there and you can put it around your neck. Craig comes from Durban and he's a bit of a surfer boy, so I imagine a wooden amulet around his neck is going to be one of those things that he really wants to do. But come and have a look a bit closer here, because in this lichen is a spider, and it looks like a dead spider, but see if you can see the live spider that's inside of here. I actually don't think that's a spider at all. That is an assassin bug, but it is dead, and I have a sneaky suspicion that it's been killed because inside there is a spider that caught it. So those 2 white blobs that are underneath my index finger now, those are the seed, or the egg capsules of a spider that's living there, and you can actually see the leg, the foreleg of the spider sticking out on the bottom capsule. And what's happened is this spider's built her home underneath this piece of lichen. This assassin bug, which is that insect there, there she comes. The assassin bug was just one of her victims, and when we brushed off this piece of lichen, what looked like a spider initially was actually just her dinner. Quite awesome, eh? So what we're going to do is put her back. Excuse me sniffing like this. My Terminalia medicine that I had for controlling the flu symptoms that I'm having at the moment has run out, and there's no Terminalias where I'm standing at the moment, so I've got a bit of leaking. as horrible as what that sounds. All right, let's see what else we can find that's of interest for us here today. What is of interest is the fact that this afternoon has just, barring the incident with the wild dog and the lion, and I'm not trying to downplay that at all, I'm actually just trying to find some light at the end of the tunnel over here for everyone that's so distressed still about the whole thing, is the fact that this afternoon has been a very, very awesome from a landscape point of view. Jason, I've just got a question through for you. Is there a plant species that, and I just missed the last little bit of this, I'm just going to ask Kirsten to repeat that so that I can get this right. So is there a plant species that was at risk because of the drought? That's actually a good question there, Jason. Good question. Let me think. No is my answer to that. Mainly because although we've been in a dry cycle, and it's taken probably the better part of 5 or 6 years to get into this dry cycle, it's still not long enough to completely drain the water table. So from a surface water point of view, this drought was catastrophic, and it really hurt a lot of trees that didn't fruit, that didn't flower, they didn't get adequate leaf cover. A lot of the grass cover just disappeared. We saw almost all the insects here take a massive knock. I would say there wasn't one insect, barring the fly and flies themselves, that benefited from this particular drought. And then of course all the larger animals. We saw buffalo and warthog in particular really get hammered by the drought. But trees wise, let me think. No, I can't think of anything. I want to tell you a story about leadwood, because I think it's important that I say that drought can affect and does affect trees negatively. if you drive through the Kruger National Park, especially in the south part of the park, you'll find a lot of dead leadwoods. And not too far away from here, they start in a band in that direction, south of where we are now, probably about 40 kilometers, about 25, 30 miles or so from here, and all the way down the 200 miles it is to the other side of the Kruger National Park. And you'll find these leadwoods, and they all look like they died at pretty much the same time because they're all in the same state of decay. Fungus and lightning and fires and whatever all have a similar effect on them, except that they're all different ages. They're not all the same age. And I had the pleasure of driving around a scientist from the Kruger National Park a couple of years ago, and I asked him the question, have you ever found out what's killed all these leadwoods? And he said to me, yes, interestingly so, that they carbon dated a huge sample of these leadwoods and found out that they did all die at around about the same time, and they died because of a drought, but that this drought was 600 years ago. Can you imagine that? And that these trees have been standing in the Kruger National Park for 600 years. Some of them big, some of them small, and all the other leadwoods that we're seeing around at the moment are either younger than that, or were leadwoods that were in a place that could weather the drought. In other words, had access to adequate water, enough to get them through this particular drought. And it just sort of hits home that if something like a leadwood, which can grow for 1,000 years or 1,500 years, can be affected to the point where it dies because of a drought, this drought that we experienced now, and last year, and seemingly are still in it because we haven't had a really good rainfall here at Djuma this year. Is it bad? On a expanded timeline like 1,000 years or 2,000 years, are we, I just sometimes think that it's not quite as bad as all we make it out to be, even though it was catastrophic from a point of view. I mean, the lions started dying because of malnutrition, basically. The buffalo were just dying every day here for about a month. Warthog completely disappeared over here for a couple of months in total. So it's difficult for me to say. But anyway, I think, James, what I want to do in conclusion there, and to sort of, without me rambling on anymore, did I see any trees negatively affected by the drought? No, not this particular drought. Does drought affect trees? Yes, even trees that are as long-lived as leadwood. So drought can have a catastrophic effect on trees. So it's a bit of a, I suppose, an answer sitting on a fence there, a bit yes and a bit no. But I hope it gives you a clearer understanding of how drought affects trees out here. But on that note, and before I really waffle myself into a corner, I suppose, why don't we go and have a look at Jamie, who's on her way to that hyena den, which I'm so amped to find out where it is actually.
So before Stef waffles himself into a corner, is that what he said? He sent you back across to us, and we are just about to get to the hyena den, so your timing is perfect. Let's see whether or not Gwen is home. Well, there are fresh hyena tracks going towards Chitwa Dam, which means she might have left the little ones just for some peace and quiet. But let's go and see whether or not she's around. It's duck down here. And I'm going in really nice and slowly just to make sure we don't scare the cubs if she isn't home. Now already, I think Brent spent a little bit of time with her this morning. And hopefully they're learning, and they should learn quickly because hyenas do learn quickly. Hopefully they'll learn quickly that we are not in any way dangerous to them. Just keep a nice slow approach. Trying to see if we should stop here. Looks okay. Let's see if anybody's home. She might also just have gone for a drink and then has come back without leaving them for too long. This time is usually the perfect time to come and visit a hyena den. Sorry, I'm just keeping a close eye on what's going on. This is a perfect time to come and visit a hyena den because this is very often where the females return to their cubs, spend a little bit of time with them, spend a little bit of time at the den. And Oh, it was yesterday, actually. It was yesterday that Brent was with them, around this time. Okay, all is quiet. No little shapes racing out. Well, I think it's safe to say that Gwen is not home, judging by the very empty burrow site. And no sign of little cubs either. Let's just sit quietly. Let's give it a few minutes and just see whether or not they decide to come out and investigate. That's what I'm hoping for. The more time we spend here, the more they realize that we're not going to be a threat to them in any way. Our spotted hyena, also known as laughing hyena, because of that amazing cackling sound that they make. Ryan, you want to know why it is that they laugh. It's communication. So it's not a laugh. They're not laughing. They're not finding something amusing. You'll often find that they make that cackling sound when they're very, very excited, or when they're nervous and submissive. So there's different types. They've got a whole wide range of vocalizations. And obviously, while I'm sitting here, potentially with young cubs in the den, let's go over to Brent, see what he's got.
Okay, guys, it sounds like the wild dogs are back and they caught something. They're about to appear down on the dam cam. I just heard from Aubrey they caught something next to Yuri's house. Watch out, Ariel. Sorry, Jean-Andre. So they're right in the heart of our camp. There's everything going around. There's Nyala running, there's dwarf mongoose running. I couldn't hear from Aubrey whether they actually caught one or they were chasing one. Now I know there's impala and baboons and all sorts down at the dam. Oh, they're chasing them right. I see the impala all pronking. Watch, there's a dog running straight to the impala. Jare, stop there. Go to the right. There we go. The other impala's about. Oh, there's the dog's just on the other side of Aubrey. Look at this. So even though they've lost a pack member, they are on the hunt. There's a dog. Well spotted, John Day. Sorry, I'm going to try and get him.
Oh, sorry about that. Brent seems to have vanished off your screen. As you can imagine, a wild dog chase and hunt always carries with it the certain risk that it might take us into areas that do have bad signal. Bring you a live safari, it comes with the odd difficult moment. So we've been sitting patiently whilst Brent's been doing most of your live safari this afternoon at the seemingly empty burrow. But you'll be very happy to know that Brent is still with those dogs and he's got signal. Let's go back to him.
Okay, it sounds like they might have caught something, or they have. No, it's just the pups. There we go. There we go. Now there's still impala all over the place around here. Oh, wasn't that exciting? I mean, the positive is, we've just seen one of them die, but now they're still out, and they're still off. There were adults dancing all around here. I keep looking up that way. We did see it. I keep looking sort of to the west. I just heard John Ray let out of a big deep sigh. And that's what it is with wild dogs. It is a roller coaster ride. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6. I'm sure they all. Oh, now there's an adult coming in. Now you want to see if there's blood on the face. That's the key. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At least 9. How's Lex? Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can still only count 9. So that means some of the adults are away. There's the alpha female with that very distinct white patch on her shoulder. Now we're all... Oh, there's... No, is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... No, still 9. Yeah. Now, so that means there's still 3 adults missing. So we've got the alpha female. And at least 1 other adult. And as we've just been saying, life goes on. I mean, they literally just lost a member of a pack less than, I don't even know, an hour ago to lions. But here they are, just below Inga's house, just below a house that I live in, out chasing impala and terrorizing Inyala. And it is incredible that life does go on. And we got asked a question earlier today about whether they mourn. And here you can see, I mean, they're straight back to hunting. They've put considerable distance between themselves and the lions. Oh, there we go. That's number 10, I think. 1, 2. So that means there's 2 missing. No, 3 missing. Well, Oh Hi Bacon would like to know, what's the biggest animal wild dogs will kill? I've seen them kill... Oh, sorry, my thing's been caught. I've seen them kill an adult kudu bull before, but a big pack, wildebeest, and there is a pack in Botswana that's famous for hunting buffalo out of a herd, but baby and sub-adult buffalo. So probably a sub-adult buffalo is the heaviest thing I've heard of a wild dog taking. And there's never actually been a recorded case of a human attack. They can be quite inquisitive with humans and come up to you, and especially when you're on foot, you would have seen that incredible sighting James had on foot with Andrew, with the wild dogs coming up to them. But I'd say biggest thing I've heard of them taking is a sub-adult buffalo or an adult wildebeest. Now they are waiting and listening for the rest of the pack members. Now they could come in from any angle, and what we are really hoping to see is blood on the face of one of the returning ones. You probably find what will happen is as it runs in, it'll regurgitate, and then if it has made a kill, then lead the other dogs back to the kill. Okay, so while we wait to see if the dogs return, let us go to Jamie with another one of, the possibility of another apex predator.
The possibility, but unfortunately I think a possibility that's not going to come to fruition this afternoon. So we've been sitting quietly just waiting and watching just to see whether or not any one of the hyena cubs pops its nose out. But it seems as though without Mom here, they're going to remain well and truly hidden. So we're probably going to leave them be. I'll double check around the corner just to see that Gwen isn't on her way back. And I think she's probably only going to arrive after dark. So we'll leave our hyena cubs, or at least our hyena den for now, and try again in the morning. Let the engine run for a little bit, just so that the cubs that are inside the den don't startle too much. They haven't come running out, most definitely have not. So they're still in there. Very good point. I was right in the middle of answering Ryan's question about why spotted hyena laugh, and then we got distracted by Brent and his wild dogs again. Ryan, we were talking about why hyenas laugh, and we spoke about the fact that they have a wide range of various communication calls. One is a whooping contact and territorial call. The other is that giggling sound that they make. And as I said, a lot of that is, you'll see it especially around the den, and hopefully once we get our, I'm still convinced our hyenas are back, but nobody believes me. Brent disagrees. He doesn't think they're back at all. He thinks it's just Gwen. But once we have proper hyena interaction again, you'll be able to see, while the cubs are around the den, the females, whenever a hyena comes in that is either a male or a submissive female, they often giggle nervously. It's giggling, but it's not actually giggling, but it sounds like they're giggling. They giggle nervously when a higher ranking hyena approaches them, and it's submissive. And then when you get them feeding around a carcass or potentially mobbing things like lions or wild dogs, they will yip and giggle again, also in excitement. So it's a way of expressing their emotion more than anything else. That's why a spotted hyena laugh. It is a very eerie sound if you're not used to it, and it does sound a bit like they're cackling away or laughing. And of course, because it's associated with feeding and because it's such an eerie sound, it's one of those things that's really contributed to their somewhat unpleasant reputation, which is so unfortunate because they're incredible animals and they're unbelievably smart. And for our new viewers that have perhaps missed out on that real hyena interaction, that's something one of the reasons why I'm so keen to find the other den site, if there is another den site as well, in the hope that perhaps we can see some of that interaction again and you'll get to know and love them in the way that we do, just because they are such special creatures. Shall we stop and look at the sunset for a bit, see if there's a view here? It's a bit of a view. It's not the best view I've ever picked. No, it's terrible. Well, it's okay. It'll do. There's a nice silver lining for us all. There we go. It's actually more of a pink lining, or rose gold. Right. Enough of sunset. There are animals to be found. Let's go, since there's no hyenas, let's go and see whether or not that crocodile at Twin Dams is still around. Now, while I do that, I'm going to send you over to Stef, who was on the open area of quarantine. Let's see what he's up to.
We are actually on the open area of quarantine. This is the quarantine clearing that you see in front of us here, and I've come here because it's getting a little bit dark and I don't want to be caught in this thick bush, this thick summer bush, without having a distance to see, basically. So I've come out onto a clearing close to the camp because it is the only place where our visibility has gone from literally 20 paces in front of us to, over 100, which is much safer this time. But sneakily, I've also come here because I wouldn't mind seeing those wild dog on foot, to be quite honest with you. It's quite exciting seeing wild dog on foot. So we are right onto the southern part of quarantine clearings. And I'm hoping, holding thumbs, that those dogs decide to make an appearance on the clearings themselves. What has been quite interesting over the last sort of 20 minutes or so that you've been away from us is we've been walking up from the Philemon's Dip side, which is even further south and on the bottom of the hill. And the whole way, before we even knew there were wild dogs here, impala were just running at us. We had the big herd of impala that lives on these clearings streaming past us, and we were just wondering why. And it was at the moment we said, but these wild dogs are in the area, that it was called in on the radio, and we found out that Brent was with those wild dogs and you watched them do what they're doing. But isn't it just incredible that they have this massive effect on everything around us? The question that I was asking to Craig and to Rexon, who are the other two members of this walking crew that we have, is this: will the impala be able to go back to quarantine tonight? And if so, how? How will this very fragmented herd come back together? And we've decided on two possible answers. One is they know exactly where they are. So even though they've been panicked and bombshelled away from these wild dogs, that they actually know exactly where they are, similar to how I would know exactly where I am if, I had to run for my life from something over here. Secondly is that they have this innate ability to go up, and up is where you have your clearings in this part of the Sabi Sands, on the crests. So even though this is a clearing we call quarantine, on almost all of the crests over here it'll be more open than down in the valleys, and that these impala will naturally just walk uphill tonight and eventually congregate again on these open areas, and therefore stay safe, because I can't imagine having this fragmented herd is anything but unsafe for these particular impala. I think they're going to need to come onto these clearings as quickly as possible before they start getting picked off by other things like leopard and lion reacting to this noise that's around here. But so that's on impala and what they've been doing. But come and have a look over here. This is something that we've been seeing the whole of this particular dry season, is this unending, ceaseless work and toil from the harvested termites. What they're doing over here is they are stockpiling harvested bits and pieces of grass and plant material. So you have a lot of workers that are busy cutting off the stems, and here you can see the activities. This is the harvested ends of grass being cut off there, being cut off there, being cut off over there. And if you just spend some time looking around here, you'll see that it's just everything is just being harvested by them. They then bring it to the entrance of their burrow, and they will stockpile it here, and then what they'll do is other workers will drag this into the nest. Isn't that cool? So you find these piles of chopped up stick and branches here underneath all this place. And we've been finding the whole walk today. This whole place is just covered in termites. Awesome. Right, now I do have it on good authority that Jamie is with a crocodile. Can you believe the diversity of this particular safari today? It's incredible.
I was with the crocodile, I'm still with the crocodile, and the incredible calm and peaceful waters of Twin Dams, the waterhole that we're staring at, is a gentle warning and reminder to all of us to never take a waterhole in Africa for granted. And presumably not just in Africa, because those of you who are in the Americas will have experienced alligators. So you'll know a little bit about the reptilian dangers of these very large carnivores. Now, a few seconds ago, the carnivorous crocodile was on the bank. It immediately, as soon as we came around the corner, slid into the water, and there he is. There we go. Hello. He slid into the water with barely a ripple, and then sank to the bottom and went underneath the surface of the water. Now we can see it clearly, although it barely looks like anything other than a patch of mud when viewed from afar. Much clearer with the camera. But you could easily be fooled, because crocodile, if they sink down to the bottom and slow their metabolism, they can actually potentially stay underwater for up to an hour. So you can never predict where you once didn't see crocodiles, you might all of a sudden be seeing crocodiles. It pays not to go swimming in waterholes in summer when you can't see them, when you can't see down to the bottom, when you don't know how shallow or how deep the water is. You definitely don't want to run the risk. Now, this crocodile's large enough to do you some damage. I don't think it would kill an adult. I don't think it's quite big enough. But kids swimming in water like this or playing on the water's edge, and we always talk about the fact that hippo kill more people than any other animal in Africa, apart, of course, from the mosquito that spreads malaria. I wonder whether that number is not actually outmatched by crocodiles. The problem is, of course, that whilst hippos leave their victims where they are, crocodile will pull them in underneath the water and then drown them, and they may never be found. So I suspect that the statistics with crocodile deaths in Africa is probably higher than hippopotamus. It's exactly the same logic. Human beings build their settlements near water. A lot of communities in Africa don't have provided tap water or anything like that. They have to go down to the rivers to fill up water supplies, to wash their clothes. The kids go down and play on the edge, and that's where the real danger lies. They're quite sinister when they lurk like that. Steph, you want to know how far Chitwa Dam is from Twin Dams? About, let me try and work this out. It's not there. I keep forgetting about Little Gowrie. Probably about 2.5 kilometers. No, in a straight line, maybe a little bit, yeah, let's say 2.5 kilometers, so it's over a mile away. It's quite a considerable distance, and this crocodile, we don't know if this crocodile came from Chitwa Dam or if it came from elsewhere. I suspect it came from Chitwa Dam, just because there's nowhere else further to the north of us that has crocodiles unless you go right into Buffelshoek. But they can walk very, very far when they want to. They can walk miles and miles. He just gave us a view of its back, but now it's disappeared again. Bubble, 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 bubble. And I think it's probably not going to stay here, unfortunately, because I don't think it's going to find much in the way of food. Maybe baby impala, I suppose, potentially. It's big enough to catch a baby impala or a steenbok or a duiker. Definitely not a large impala or a waterbuck. And there you go. Gone again. Completely vanished. Not a sign that there was ever a crocodile here. It's a bit sinister in its own way. You definitely don't want to take crocodiles for granted. All I could think of is Scott standing knee-deep in Twin Dams trying to catch catfish, although it was much shallower then. That was ages ago. Okay. All right, crocodile. We shall leave you be, since apparently it's playing quite shy, and it has vanished almost completely. I was hoping that it might come out onto the bank. It's fascinating, though. I wonder if it did come from Chitwa Dam. I would guess so. I don't know how many big dams there are in Little Gowrie, though. So it could have come from Little Gowrie, just directly to the south of us. There's a few very large pans there that it might have spent some time in first before it got here. But I don't think it's going to be particularly obliging. I think it's going to stay hidden. As it starts to get a little bit dark, of course, our Bushwalk team will have to start heading home. So let's head to Stef so that he can say his farewells.
It is getting a little bit dark now for us to be out, but not too much. Not before I share something quite interesting with you. That is where the sun went down just a few minutes ago, and that is directly west. And looking through the trees on Quarantine Clearing, I'm standing right where there used to be an old homestead. This has been an area where people have been living possibly on and off seasonally for a couple of hundred years, maybe even a couple of thousand years. And coming up here and standing on this mound of sand where we are at the moment always gives me this sense, I don't know what it is, it's how many sunsets have people watched from this place, looking in exactly that direction. What have they seen through the coming of the ages? The land hasn't changed. You probably find it looked exactly like this, 2,000 years ago. So while the land hasn't changed, the people on the land, the way that land has been used, what they've seen flying around in the skies, what they've heard about has just changed. I don't know, I only think about that when I come onto this particular spot actually on Quarantine. Quite nice, actually. Anyway, while I say goodbye, I think it's a good idea for me to stop that train of thought and that waffling that I get into. I'm going to say goodbye from this afternoon's or the Sunset Safari's bushwalk, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning for another bushwalk again. But in the meantime, don't go anywhere because Brent and Jamie are still out there. So see you later.
Well, we've lost the dogs. They've disappeared into this thicket in the... I thought I heard something in the Mulwati. I think we're going to call it a night for the dogs. I'm going to leave the area. It has been an absolute roller coaster today. Oh, but that is one of the things about being live out here. There's no censoring, there's no editing. What happens, happens. And you've just got to try deal with what happens as best as you can. And I mean, it's... And even for me, and I mean, I've seen lions kill wild dogs probably 7 or 8 times. It's probably maybe even my 10th time. It still gets me every single time. It is just really tough to watch, especially with an animal that I love so much and love spending time with, and I actually haven't spent nearly as much time with over the last little while as I would have liked to see that. But then I've just got to step back and and realize how incredibly lucky I am to witness something like that, to witness wildlife interacting as they have done on the savannah for hundreds of thousands of years. That is a battle and a challenge that's been going on year after year, millennia after millennia, between the different predators, and we've just got to remember we're so privileged that we are there live, and even the difficult stuff, once you've got a bit of time to reflect, it's not nice to watch, but it's still special to watch, if that makes any sense. Oh dear. I'm hoping they're going to be around in the morning. Hi, Thomas in Pennsylvania. Thomas is wondering, did I see the lioness before the attack? I actually can't remember. I think just before. Jandre, can you remember?
Just saw the dog's heads up.
Just saw the dog's heads up. I do remember seeing her charge in from about 20 meters away, so I think I saw her. I mean, I do feel like it's a bit of PTSD after that. Don't really know what's going on, and don't really want to, but I'm definitely going to go have a look at the footage afterwards to try sort of piece together what happened. It was so hard to watch. I'm almost thankful that Timbwiti tree was in the way, that we didn't see the everything, but to hear those dogs' bones crunch, and again, if we separate ourselves a little bit, that incredibly interesting behavior we saw afterwards. You saw how the other lionesses who weren't there, they get in there and they grip and they shake that dog like it's still alive. I've seen them do it to leopards as well, and to hyenas when they've killed them. So it's that predatory instinct to take out any possible competition, and I think that lioness was far more set on making sure those dogs weren't around or getting one of those dogs because of her cubs being so close by. So those cubs were no more than about 150 meters away from where those dogs were lying, and if the lions had headed out hunting and come back, and the dogs had headed out hunting after the lions or stumbled upon those cubs, they would have killed them. And so it's the lioness protecting her offspring as well. We've got to remember that. The first time we were there afterwards, nasty Styx lions. I don't like the Styx lions anymore. Hi, Sally. Sally's wondering now that if the lions leave that kill there and they don't eat it, well, see, the cubs might eat it. I'm not sure. Would someone retrieve that carcass for study? Yes, they would. Unfortunately, what happens in a lot of the time, you've got to give it a day, so lions move off, etc. So by the time you get there tomorrow, hyenas might have munched it all, and there's nothing left. So you never know, but I will get hold of my friend Grant, who works for the Endangered Wildlife Trust on the wild dogs, and a while ago, while we were doing a Facebook Live, the dogs chased a scrubber and it went into a road pipe there, that road pipe right here. That scrub hare managed to get underground. The dogs look quite confused as to why. There we go, there's the pipe coming up. That scrub hare got right into that tiny pipe next to the road there, and escaped the wild dogs. Oops, sorry, drawn that. There we go. Okay, well, I'm in a sort of bumble now. I'm not focusing on anything. I'm just sort of reflecting on what's happened this afternoon. And while we do that, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
I'm doing much the same as Brent. Obviously, having not witnessed it, but having heard about what happened, I think it's a rather subdued Safari Live team that's returning home this afternoon. Whoops, I forgot I had a roof. I nearly crushed that into the tree. That would have been most unfortunate, and that would have been another unfortunate way to end off our safari. I don't think Stef would have been terribly impressed with me if I'd taken the roof off. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. I'm bumbling. Looking for early nocturnal creatures. I've seen a serval here once. Hope there's always the chance of seeing them again. They do move about in similar areas. Hoping for perhaps a surprise leopard, something to cheer us up at the end of the sunset safari. That was not a chameleon. I feel as though I've already had my chameleon luck for the afternoon. Couldn't believe it when I saw the size of that chameleon walking across the road. It was absolutely enormous. Alrighty, let us see what we can find. Come on, Karula. Now would be a good time to pop out and cheer us all up. Zane, you want to know if there are measures being taken for wild dog conservation, because of course one of the huge reasons why it is so devastating to see the death of a wild dog is because they're so endangered. There are huge measures being taken. They're being studied. There are groups being reintroduced into different areas where it's hoped that they will flourish. They're given the vaccines that they need. They're sent off to different reserves to spread the population, to keep the genetics fresh. They are being constantly studied, monitored, checked for any sign of any kind of ailment or disease. So absolutely there are enormous measures, and the most important thing that all of you can do as our viewers of Safari Live, and why Safari Live I think is so important in terms of its conservation potential, is by raising awareness about the plight of wild dogs and by educating people, because of course they still have this reputation as being pests or these basically just feral dogs or anything like that, where in fact they're an amazing and unique species that it would be an absolute tragedy if we were ever to lose. So that's the joy of these live safaris, and that's what all of you can do, and teach your kids about how valuable each and every single species is to the world around us. So yes, lots of measures being taken, and I hope that in our way, doing these live safaris, I do hope that we're contributing to, well, it was an ill-timed bump in the middle of a profound speech. I hope that in some way our live safaris are contributing as much as possible in the way that we can to the conservation, not just the wild dogs, anything that we see out here. I hope that is the case. And I hope that over the next few generations we see wild dogs flourishing as a species. It might be a long and hard road, but lots of species have recovered before. There have been some positive stories in conservation over recent years, and I'm hoping that wild dogs will be one of them. There's some amazing studies being done by the Endangered Wildlife Trust, the EWT, into wild dogs. I would definitely encourage you to have a look at some of the amazing research that the various people conduct. That, of course, is why there's a collared dog in that Investic pack, is to help to keep track and to monitor them. It's a difficult species, though. They're so fragile, and they need so much space. Alright, as a somewhat subdued Safari Live team heads home, it's time for us, Liam and myself, to say farewell. So we're going to say goodbye to you all. We hope that you, well, perhaps not enjoyed your live safari, but we hope that you learned something from your live safari, and we will see you tomorrow morning for a hopefully much happier sunrise safari. Until we see you again, thank you very much. Thank you, Liam, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
Well, we're coming to the end of I would probably say, the most eventful safari that I've ever experienced since I've been here with Safari Live. Genre, for you? The saddest, yeah. It was truly really, really sad to see that poor little puppy get caught by the lion. But as I was saying a bit earlier, we got to realize that this is a natural system, and I really try to not anthropomorphize and put human qualities and connotations onto the animals, but it is incredibly difficult for us, and it's in our nature to do it, and it is. It's so hard. You should see Jean-André's face. It looks like someone hit him with a big stick. I mean, he looks miserable, and we've got to take the positives out of this. That we got to witness something natural that's been happening for hundreds of thousands of years, and as sad as it was special that we were there, and we actually got to experience it. And I mean, isn't that one of the reasons we go on safari? To have the ups and the downs, to see the life unfolding in front of us, and it's pure raw nature, and it's something to think about, and it's always great when you see the cute cubs or tiny babies and all happy days jumping up and down, but it's a good reminder that living out in the wild, there's a very hard edge to it. These animals have incredibly hard lives. It is a constant battle for survival, as today showed. It's constantly there. And earlier I was saying that generally, if 15 wild dog puppies are born, I mean 4 will make it to adulthood. I mean, they've got a massive mortality rate, and lions are one of the biggest killers of wild dog puppies. Hands down. Oh, but on a happier note, remember that it was the royal twins' birthday yesterday, and we do love a good Husana and Shongile. And just to remind you that there are still T-shirts and the high-res image. The high-res image works a bit differently. You can give a contribution to send us to other far-flung corners of Africa to see other incredible things, and you can leave a contribution of your choice. And also then I'm just trying to remember the website now. There's a lone impala, so I'm going to keep talking, but I just want to make sure there's no wild dog coming after that impala. But it is royalbirthday.wildearth.tv if you would like to purchase one of those shirts or lots of other paraphernalia, or one of those images. But from all of us here and the disappearing impala, good night, and see you on a happier sunrise safari tomorrow.